What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Malnoxx, and today we have another Wuthering Waves video for you. Now, I know when you're diving into a new game, there can be a lot of confusion on the terminology, and when you're comparing that to other games you played, you're not really sure what's what. So today, I want to go over everything that you need to know about Wuthering Waves in Genshin Impact terms. So if you're coming over from Genshin Impact to give Wuthering Waves a try, hopefully this will help break it down a little bit easier for you and let you know exactly what's going on. First up, we're going to talk about the characters in Wuthering Waves. They're called resonators. And with your resonators, you still level them up just the same as you level up characters in Genshin Impact. You still ascend them the same. And then we have their weapons, which still level up the same. Instead of refining a weapon in Wuthering Waves, if you have more than one of the same weapon, you can syntonize it to increase the rank from 1 to 2 all the way up to rank 5. Now, where things start to get really different is when we start to talk about echoes. You want to think about echoes like the artifacts of Wuthering Waves. You have 5 slots for your echoes, but the first echo you put in that top slot has an additional skill that your resonator gets to use called an echo skill. This is another skill that you can use in combat to include in your rotation, and they can be really powerful. So this first one is probably the most important. Now, as you can see here, the echoes have different costs. They cost either 4, 3, or 1. And you see at the top that you can have a total of 12. So any combination of those costs that add up to 12 is what you can equip. There's some different strategies that you can go with, equipping either 5 or 4 echoes that cost a little bit more to get different stats that you want. Echoes can all have different main stats, but unlike artifacts, there's not like a specific echo that's in a specific quote unquote set. Each echo, in addition to having a different main stat, can be part of a different set. So they can give arrow damage, they can give glacio damage, they can give energy regen, they can give attack. And it's just random which one you get when you acquire that echo. The good thing is in Wuthering Waves, unlike in Genshin Impact, getting echoes doesn't cost you any currency. It doesn't cost you anything. You just have to go around and fight enemies and gather the echo. And you can do it for forever. So you can farm these over and over and over again. So this extra element of RNG really isn't that much of a hindrance. But we'll go more into echoes in a later video. Now, when we're talking about the talents from Genshin Impact and Wuthering Waves, those are called fortes. And there's 5 total that you can level up. You have the basic attack, the same as in Genshin, the resonance skill, which is just like your skill in Genshin Impact. We also have our resonance liberation, which is just like our ultimate in Genshin Impact. And then we have what's called an inherent skill. And you want to think about these like the passive talents that characters have in Genshin Impact. Except in Wuthering Waves, they can be leveled up to make them even stronger. We also have an outro or intro move that you can level up in Wuthering Waves, and this is a brand new element that's much different from Genshin Impact when we talk about combat. When you see your character's portrait start to glow and pulse white on the side of your screen during combat, you can press the corresponding button to switch to that character and initiate their intro move, which is an extra amount of damage they get as they come onto the battlefield while switching characters. It's a lot of fun to play around with and honestly a really cool touch that makes the combat feel really fluid. And next up we have Resonance Chain, which is the same thing as Constellations in Genshin Impact. There's a total of 6, but there's one big difference with Resonance Chains that we're going to talk about a little bit later. Now, from our main menu here, we can see we have a Soul 3 phase, and that's the same as your world level. And we also have a Union level, which is the same as your adventure rank. When we talk about in-game content, we have the Tower of Adversity, which is the same as Genshin Impact's Spiral Abyss. And we also have the Elusive Realms, which is comparable to the Imaginarium Theater that Genshin Impact just announced for 4.7. Now, talking about items in the game, the first up we have is Sonnet's Caskets. Sonnet's Caskets are like the elemental oculi in Genshin Impact that you collect and turn into the statue, except here you collect them and you turn them into an NPC for rewards. Functions the same, that you find them on the map, you pick them up, you turn them in. When we talk about the different banners in Wuthering Waves, they're called convenes. We have our Novice Convene when you first start the game, which will guarantee you a standard 5-star character within your first 50 pulls. As soon as you get a random standard 5-star character from that, it turns into the Beginner Convene. And this one allows you to choose which 5-star standard character you want and then guarantees you that character within 80 pulls. In Wuthering Waves, the pity is 80 instead of 90 in Genshin Impact. Now, the item you use to pull on the beginner and the novice convenes, as well as our standard convenes, are called lustrous tides. We also have radiant tides, which we use to pull on the event character convene. And again, there's a 50-50 just like Genshin, but the hard pity is 80. And the biggest difference, in my opinion, in the banners and convenes is the weapon. In Genshin, we have our 2 fate points, and we wish on the weapon banner. If we lose, we get a fate point. If we lose again, we get another fate point. And then finally, we're guaranteed the weapon that we want. In Wuthering Waves, it's a different currency you use to wish called a forging tide, which you purchase for the same cost as a radiant tide. However, it's 80 pity, and the weapon is guaranteed. There is no 50-50 on the weapon convene. When you get a 5-star on this convene, it will be the 5-star. That is the event weapon. And then we also have our standard convene after the novice and beginner are all done. And then finally, our standard weapon convene. From the standard convene, you're guaranteed to get a character 5-star. And then from the standard weapon, a weapon 5-star. The cool thing about the standard weapon is, again, you can choose which weapon you want to go for. And within 80 pulls, you will have that weapon. You can also change which weapon you're going for at any time before the 80 pulls are done. Now, you purchase all of these tides with Asterite, which is the Wuthering Waves version of Primo Gems. And if you purchase anything from the in-game shop, you're going to get it in Lunite, which is the same as Genesis Crystals in Genshin Impact. Speaking of the in-game shop, if we head over there, we can see the Lunite subscription, which functions the exact same as the Welkin Moon in Genshin. Now, where Genshin has Star Glitter and Star Dust, Wuthering Waves has Afterglow Coral and Oscillate Coral. And remember when I said there was something special with the resonance chain or the constellations in Wuthering Waves? Well, that's where the Afterglow Coral comes in. If we take a look at the Afterglow Coral shop, you can see that you can purchase characters, wave bands, or constellations using this currency. So if you just save up a little bit, you can just buy the cons for the characters that you have, which is really cool. Now, Resin in Genshin Impact is called Wave Plates in Wuthering Waves, and that's what we're going to use for our weekly bosses, as well as bosses that you need for different character ascension materials. Instead of fragile resin in Genshin Impact, they're called crystal solvents in Wuthering Waves. And again, it's a good idea to save these up into a later game because it's going to be a lot more valuable. Now, in terms of the smaller things, we have resonance potions in Wuthering Waves, which is the character level up material. We have energy cores, which is the same as the weapon enhancement ores in Genshin Impact. And then shell credits are the same as Genshin Impact's Mora. Hopefully this helps you understand a little bit more when you're diving into Wuthering Waves and helps you be a little bit less confused as to what you're looking at. If you haven't checked out Wuthering Waves yet and you would like to, use the link in the description below to download it on mobile and to support me in the process. I appreciate it so much. And if you have any more questions about Wuthering Waves, come and join us on Twitch. I'm more than happy to help you out there and chat about whatever you want. Links down in the description below. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. Make sure you subscribe, like if you liked the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, you stay legendary, and remember the sun will rise, and we will try again. Peace out.